All right, Steve, of Bird and Cage, a really bold story that honestly caught me quite by surprise. We got a musical first person shooting puzzle solving game.
Tell me again, I'm lost in my mind. There's no place for me to run and hide, but I'll find. Tell me again, I'm lost in my soul. There's a place for me to run and hide, but I won't.
All right, Steve, kind of like I mentioned in the intro, this game is a bit of a mixed bag of a few genres, and one thing that really stood out is the musical side because it's not like your happy Disney musical, it's your really sad telling story, really bold, in my opinion, of a story that
Yeah.
somehow plays along to a musical. And what I really actually appreciated from Caprica's productions is the music, man. It was
Oh yes.
phenomenal. This is like this sort of heavy metal soundtrack with all sorts of familiar artists. It's one of some of my personal favorite bands, like Asking Alexandria. We got Guns N' Roses, Evanescence, all sorts of bands came together to make this soundtrack. But the gameplay itself and the game, man, well, let's get into that.
Oh yes. So you basically start off. There's seven main characters in this game. So one of them is Gitta, who you actually is the protagonist of this game. And you start off and you're in your bedroom. You're playing with your mum, and it starts off well. Then the music's nice and relaxed, the piano playing, and then your dad walks in, and that's where it starts. And I will say one thing: this game is not for the light-hearted, as
Yeah.
it does reference a lot of physical, emotional, and substance abuse as well. So just be wary of that.
Yeah, that's what really, I guess, could make this game stand out. Is aside from it being a musical, is that this is a very heavy choice-based game. There are four endings to this, and we both ended up with two different endings that were very different. And I appreciate that about this game. Although, like you said, you run out of time too fast. You can,
Yeah.
quickly press start and restart the entire segment, but sometimes that leads you into listening to the beginning of a song before the gameplay starts for like a minute. So you're just there's some errors with this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then the next thing you know, you're 25 years old. You're Gita. You're an aspiring singer, and then you're on your way. Unfortunately, you're addicted to designer drugs, GSBV, I believe it is. You have a drug dealer that's not very friendly. Then you
Yep.
have Ari, which is your drug dealing boyfriend, who cheats on you and everything else like that. You also have your alcoholic dad, a creepy boss, and then obviously you have this weird character called Brez, who seems to be following you as well through the story.
Yeah, man, there's not a lot of characters to this game, but the characters, they all have very great, I don't want to say great personality, but unique and standoutish personalities. But the graphics, man, is what really ended up taking away from some of these characters. Like the boss, he just kind of looks like this blob. Your father, one of the more important characters in the game, looks just all in all bad. Like the main character
Yeah.
herself, Gitta, she's the only one that looks really okay. And it's like that throughout the entire game, man. Out of nowhere, your little bar runs out at the bottom, and then you start getting shoved or punched or whatever. It just, in my opinion, took away from it. And the mechanics of it all, dude, really
Yeah.
sloppy. Like the hand-to-hand combat is so cumbersome and one of the worst I've ever seen in a game. Interacting with objects is also atrocious, unfortunately, and that's what really kind of takes away from this whole entire experience.
Yeah, and I had issues with, like, as I mentioned before, like opening doors. There's one part where you have to open lockers, or you try and investigate, find items, whether you're trying to escape or do something. And I got stuck behind the locker door because I couldn't get my cursor enough to actually push it. You couldn't walk through it, and it'll automatically close like you would imagine a locker. I had to physically close the door and then open another locker door so I can get out. And I just, and like you said, just picking up stuff, opening drawers, because if you can't do it straight away, and that bar's just going so quick, and you've got so many tasks and things you have to find, you know, whether it's the sort of set up a trap or find a credit card or anything to help you, like whether it's escaping or to help you on the story.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it in time, and then like I said, if you don't do it, then there's consequences. You get pushed, punched, all nice good things.
Yeah, exactly. Now were honestly a few scenes when you would kind of be able to maybe seek a little of vengeance, and I missed it, and I would get that satisfaction of restarting that section and actually completing it. Like, I did get a little bit of satisfaction with a couple of these parts, but unfortunately the rest of the experience being so just cumbersome, it just takes away, man.
So Nate, so obviously of Bird and Cages, you being trapped as the bird in the cage as Gitta, with the horrible lifestyle you're in, the dead-end job, can't get nowhere in life, and the main idea of the game is just trying to escape from all that, leave it all behind and try and start a new life. But unfortunately, with the bad mechanics and everything that sort of pulled me out of the experience, unfortunate, the graphics, I love the music. It might not be everyone's taste as well, because not everyone likes heavy rock music or heavy metal. I found it very fitting for the game, and I did like the way the storyline was going. But unfortunately for me, with like I said, the graphics and the mechanics, which is what we're basing on the game, I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. How about you?
All right, man. I'm honestly just a little higher than you. I'm gonna have to give this one a 5 out of 10, because I really did appreciate the fact that this is a musical that plays along with a very dark story. And there are moments when, you know, you're getting punched and it plays to the music and it actually feels like very theatrical. But man, like you said, so much from this game, man, is just frustrating and cumbersome, and you're just constantly restarting because you just can't accomplish your goal. So 5 out of 10 for me, man.
With this unique metal album presented through a short decision-based, dark narrative story, has so much potential, but the bad graphics and the game mechanics just pull you out of the game.
Tell me what you did to Mom. I know that you did something.
You always